welcome to week 18 of Gospel for Beginners. A big apology on my part. I've been teaching to myself for the last 15 minutes. I didn't realize that the live hadn't went up. So apologies on that, everybody. I'll start over and we'll go for it. Okay, thank you everyone for being so patient. I see Tom has been in the chat. And Deandra and Charmaine. Hi guys, nice to see you. Tonight we've got a lot on the go. We are going to be doing a new rhythm pattern. We're also going to be learning how to play a diminished chord, which is really exciting, and it's going to give us some spice. And I've got 3 songs for you guys. We've got In the Garden, Jesus, I Love You, and we've got Jesus Is Your Name. Okay, so we're going to jump right in to our rhythm pattern number 2. All right, and we've got Gail coming in. Hi, guys. Thank you again for your patience for that. Okay, so our rhythm pattern number 2. So before we do this one, our regular rhythm pattern was just together, right, right, right. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take that rhythm pattern and we're just going to add a little bump to it, which is going to give us a little bit of a spice. Now, I've got the PDF up there. Make sure if you haven't yet already, go join our Facebook group so you can get your free PDF. You can download it and print it and follow along with us today. I'll do my best to keep most of it up on the screen there for you. But definitely go check out that group and you can meet some more students that are following along as well. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, so that you can see free videos every week. Okay, so for our pattern, we're going to be adding in a little bounce. So anytime we're about to switch chords in our song, we're going to add a little bounce with our left hand to kind of like launch us into the next chord. So when we play our rhythm pattern number 1, together, right, 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 it can sometimes sound a little bit like a robot, okay, because it's very straight. And then if the person's singing, it can kind of sound a little robotic, okay? So this is going to give us a little bit of life. So for example, we've got lesson number 2, Falling in Love with Jesus. This is one that we did way back in September. And what I've done is I've just added in these little plus signs, just so you guys can visualize where those bounces go. We're not going to have these in our actual songs, but just so you can see where they go. So it would be C, 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 bounce, F, F, bounce, C, C, bounce, okay? So let's try that with our left hand. I see some more people have come on in. 1, 2 is here. He says, poor Christine. Thanks. Ricky Rudy's here. Hi, guys. All right, so let's try it with our left hand. So this is what it would look like. Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus. Oh, that should be a G, sorry. Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus was the best thing I've ever done. Okay, so you see I'm just holding the chord. So for example, C, falling in love, and then I play the chord I'm already on and I bounce that before I go to the F. So, falling in love with F, G, F, C, C, A minor. Okay? So that little plus. So now I'm going to put it with the right hand so you can hear what it sounds like all together. And the right hand just stays steady. We're not changing the right hand at all. Just adding that bounce in the left hand is actually going to give us a really different sound. So here we go. Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus. Oh, sorry, G. Falling in love with Jesus. It was the best thing I've ever done. So see how that sounds so pretty? And sometimes if I'm in playing background music and it's just like a gentle part of the service, I would actually play it just like that, without any fills, just with the bounce, and it just keeps it trucking along in the background without sounding robotic. Okay, so again, the left hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, bounce, 1, 2, bounce, 1. So right before you switch your chord, just give a little bounce. Now, some of you are going to be able to do that right now. You're going to feel it, and you're just going to go, right? You're just going to feel where that pulse goes. But I'm going to break it down because I know about half of you are going to need to count it out loud so that you can teach your muscle memory that bounce. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So we've got 3 exercises. Now these are muscle memory exercises. They're not exactly matching any of our songs with the chords, but counting out loud with the chords is going to teach your left hand how to feel it naturally. Okay, so exercise number 1, I'm going to show you with just the left hand. Okay, and we're going to start with C. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now this one is in a group of 4. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way down. I've also added in the little plus signs. Now, the red plus signs for tonight, that's just for the bounce so you can visualize it. Okay, because it's on the and. I want you guys to get used to that one and. Okay, but the part that I've highlighted there in blue, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, this is a standard way of counting. Okay, so what it's doing is normally we would count 1, 2, 3, 4. Falling in love with 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm just playing it on C, but you get the idea. Some songs naturally pulse in groups of 4. Some songs naturally pulse in groups of 3, like Amazing Grace is an example of that. So it'd be amazing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The pulse just naturally falls that way. So if we look at number 1, where I have the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, this is a way of subdividing our beats. So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's just helping us feel the in-between one so that we know where to put our left hand. Because in this rhythm pattern, our left hand bounce falls on the and. So what we're going to do is we're going to count out loud. It'll all make sense in a second. Is I'm going to count this out loud, and I'm only going to use my left hand finger. So it's going to look like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 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 that is exactly what I want you to do this week. You're going to feel a little bit silly counting out loud if you're not used to it. But I would definitely recommend, don't count it in your head. Count it out loud and start that slow. And then you can speed it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 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 you're going to start to naturally feel it as you speed it up. Now, our right hand for number 1 is the same. C, 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 C. A, 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 A. F, 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 F. G, 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 G. So that's going to be steady robot. Okay, and the left hand is what's going to really change the feeling of this pattern. So let's put them together really slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 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 1. Okay, so you would start that slow, say it out loud. You can even go slower. Just follow along so that you can feel right on the last and boom, that little bump. Okay, I'm going to put it up on the digital just so you guys can see, and then we're going to move quickly on to number 2. So here's number 1 with both hands together, nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 So I know it's a bit like rubbing your head and patting your stomach, whatever they say. But let me know in the comments how everybody's doing. Okay, just nice and slow. And we're going to move on to one in group of 3. We said Walter's here. Hi, Walter. Come on in. All right, exercise number 2. Same idea. We're doing our and right before we change our chords, but this one's in a group of 3. So this would be Amazing Grace, a lot of our slow songs. Okay, so this would go like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so we just don't have the 4, but we're still bouncing on the and. So let's look at number 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, of course, I know some of you are still getting used to your inversions that we started in December. So without the inversions, it would look like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so that would be group of 3. Now in our last exercise for tonight, I have one that has a slash chord, because this might be a little bit confusing when you're in there. It's like, oh, which one do I bounce? So it follows the same rule. So for C over E right here, we have C on the right hand and E on the left hand. So when we get to our bounce, you bounce whatever your left hand's already doing. So in this case, it would be E. Don't worry about the C. So it would go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you just bounce. You're already on the E, just bounce the E. Okay, so let's try exercise number 3 all together with both hands. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so I know it's a little bit much maybe for the muscle memory. Like I said, in general, adults, we see it, we understand it quite quickly, or teenagers. I know we've got some teenagers with us. But just actually getting the finger to do what you tell it to do is sometimes the most hard part. So that's why, legitimately, if you're going 1 and 2, like that slow, go for it. Okay, we want to just make sure we're counting it and matching it with the and then over time you'll be able to speed that up. Okay, as your pinky finger or your thumb, whatever you use, decides to follow along and agree. Okay, so let's jump into our songs. So the first one I've got tonight is In the Garden. Now this was requested by Pat Taylor, so thank you, Pat. It's in 3/4 time. So if we look up at the top, we've got groups of 3. Now I made sure to copy the chords so that we can see it every time it repeats. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, instead of just putting C and leaving a bunch of lines. So that way you can see clearly your groups. And what we're going to be doing is right before we get to a new chord, we're doing the bounce. So it would be 1, 2, 3, bounce. 1, these aren't highlighting right. 1, 2, 3, bounce. Okay, so right before we switch, even if it's the same chord. So in this example, we have a lot of C's in a row. I tried to pick an easy one to start with to practice that rhythm, is that even though we're still going to C, we want to put the bounce because it's going to keep it from sounding like a robot. Okay, couple other things before we jump in. We do have a nice little walk here. Because these are right together, we wouldn't put a bounce there. Okay, we would just go right to the next chord. And we also have a D major chord here. So we talked about this last week, your black notes, but let's just review that D major before we jump in. So D, to make a major chord, we need root, 4, and 3. So root, 4, 3. So we end up with D, F sharp, and A. So if that's unfamiliar, make sure you check out last week. We talked about black notes and we reviewed how to make all major and minor chords. Okay, so D major is like this. Okay, and then we go to G. Or you can go to whatever inversion of G you like. You can go up here if you want. Okay, so let's try it with just the left hand first. I know that's a little bit odd. We don't normally do that, but it's going to help with our rhythm. So intro, we're going to do it on the intro too. So right before everyone will bounce. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bounce. 1, 2, 3. Bounce. C, 2, 3. F over G. Sorry. 1, 2. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own. F over G. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other hath ever known. F over G. Okay, so that would be really good practice this week, is just the left hand, sing along, and practice those little bounces. Now, our level 2 tonight is going to be with our right hand together, holding the notes. So the right hand's only going to hold it the whole time. Left hand's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. So you can really focus on that left hand. Okay, and I noticed on our chorus, actually we have one with a black note, so we'll just check that out. We have an E major, so just in case you're not familiar or able to do that quickly, we'll do it together. So E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so E would be E, G sharp, and B, if you want to write that on your sheet. E, G sharp, and B. So basically you're playing an E minor chord, but you're putting your middle finger up to the black note, like that. Okay, so that's E major. Okay, so let's try it. Both hands together. We're just holding our right hand. Left hand will do all the work. Okay, here we go. Intro, 1, 2, or actually, I'm gonna come down here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you may have noticed I played E major in an inversion. So you know how we would normally play E minor like this, because it's easy, we're just gonna move our thumb. That's what I did for the E major. So if you did want to try that, I'm just playing E minor inversion, but I'm putting my pinky on the G sharp, like that. Okay, B, E, G sharp. But of course you can jump up to root position. Okay, just showing you that if you're wondering what I did there. Okay, now let's put it together with the right hand pulsing. So this is where it gets a little tricky. So if you do want to stop on, section 1 or section 2, whatever we've done, and just play along with us, go ahead. I'm just going to show you how to put it all together, so later in the week, if you're feeling brave, you can try with both hands, okay? So let's try it here. So the right hand is going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, just nice and steady. Okay, so here's what it would sound like. Let's give ourselves a different verse just for variety. Let's do verse 2 and chorus. 1, 2, 3. He speaks and actually, one more thing. I'm going to change it over for you guys. There you go. So you can see. 1, 2, 3. He speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is singing, and he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Okay, good. So that is in the garden. In the garden. Let me know how that's going. I see everyone's hiding in the chat today. They said hi, and now you guys are all focused on your fingers. So let me know how that's going. And we'll move on to Jesus, I Love You. And this is a nice one. This one is in 4/4. So I wanted to make sure to give you guys one of each tonight so you could practice. So this would match with exercise number 1 and exercise number 3. Okay. Now this one has quite a bit. So it's got big verses, and then it's got the chorus and the bridge down at the bottom because the verses are quite long. So make sure you've got your PDF for this one. I'll leave it up at the top and I'll use my paper. So I'll just put that there in case you guys want to take a quick picture. Okay, and then we've got verse 1 up here. Okay, so this is Jesus, I Love You on page 3. Okay, so this one, let's take a look at our intro. Actually, just our left hand first. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And, okay, or if you're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 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 the verse, a good chunk of the verse, is that pattern again. So if you can do the intro, you can already do 2/3 of the verse. Thomas says he's getting better. Good, Tom. Good to hear. All right, so let's try verse 1. Not because I've been so faithful, not because I've been so good. You've always been there for me to provide my every need. You were there when I was lonely. You were there in all my pain, guiding my footsteps, shelter from the rain. And it was you who made my life complete. You are to me my everything, and that is why I sing. Now, I did want to mention, there's a couple typos in this one today, guys. I'm sorry about that. But right here on the F minor, we're missing, there's 3 slashes after that. That is why I sing. 2, 3, 4. There's extra slashes, okay? So just write those in. Slash, slash, slash right there. That is why I sing. Da, Jesus, I love you. 2, 3. Because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there. 2 and 3 and Jesus, I love you. 2 and 3 and because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there. Okay, we'll go up here. So let's try that with all long notes. So our right hand together. Actually, I'll do verse 2 into the chorus for this one. Okay, so not because I've been so faithful, not because I've been so good. Oh, goodness me. Guys, I apologize. I was not well when I made this PDF, and I realized verse 2 has the same words as verse 1. But you can Google it. There's different words. Oh, my word. Okay, verse 1 again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Not because I've been so faithful, not because I've been so good. You've always been there for me to provide my every need. You were there when I was lonely. You were there in all my pain, guiding my footsteps, shelter from the rain. And it was you who made my life complete. You are to me my everything, and that is why I sing. Jesus, I love you. 2, 3, because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there. Oh, Jesus, I love you because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there. Let's try the bridge. It's very similar. Jesus, I love you, I love you. Oh, Jesus, I love you, I love you. Jesus, I love you, I love you. Because you care. And that just repeats itself. Okay? So that's with the slow, just with the left hand added in. I'm going to put it down on the chorus for a little bit for you guys. And we'll try it with both hands together with our pulse in the right hand. And then, I'm so excited, we're going to be doing diminished chords. So don't go anywhere. Let's get through this one. I can't wait to show you guys the diminished chords. Okay, so Jesus, I love you. Oh, and actually before we get in that, please note, we've got some funky monkeys here. So we've got E major, which we already talked, is E, G sharp, and B. We've got D major, which we showed was D, F sharp, and A. And we also have F minor, which if you were here last week, we used that as one of our examples. So minor, remember, is root 3, 4. So root, find your note, 3, then 4. And we end up with F, A flat, and C for F minor. And I think we got a super chat from Tom for $5. Thank you very much, Tom, for supporting the channel and for your donation tonight. I very much appreciate that. Okay, so we've got those 3 kind of crunchy chords at the end. So let's actually just go through that a little bit slowly. I'll do it without the inversions. We'll start right here before we go into our next level. I just want to show you guys. So we'll start there, and I'll show you without the inversions, and then I'll show you how I would play with the inversions, okay? Okay, so without the inversions. Let's do that first. Where are we? And there's our note. Okay, so here we go. And it was you who made my life complete. You are to me my everything, and that is why I sing. So that would be without the inversions, just root position normal. Okay, Gail says she's getting better. Good. Good progress. Okay, and then if I was to do inversions, I would use C as my home base, A minor would look like this. And it was, and then E I would do like this, just like I do with my E minor. And it was you. Okay, back to A minor. Who made my life? D major, I would play root position. Complete. D minor, root position. You are to me. C, what would I do there? Yeah, root position. My everything. I'm using what finger was already there. And then F would be an inversion. And that is why I... And then a minor, we just change that black note. Sing. Okay, so here's the inversions a little bit faster. And it was you who made my life complete. You are to me my everything. And that is why I move your pinky, sing. Jesus, I love you. And then just go back to root position. Okay, so let's try it with the slashes, of course. If you're just doing the left hand and following along, use my singing as a steady beat and play along with our left hand. And then we'll jump into the next part. Okay, so intro, I'm going to do the whole thing. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Together, right, 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 bounce. 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 First one. Not because I've been so faithful, not because I've been so good. You've always been there for me to provide my every need. You were there when I was lonely. You were there when all my pain. Guiding my footsteps, a shelter from the rain. And it was you who made my life complete. You are to me my everything, and that is why I sing. Go to the chorus. Oh Jesus, I love you because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there. Oh Jesus, I love you because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there. Go to the bridge. Oh Jesus, I love you, I love you, I love you. Jesus, I love you, I love you, I love you. Jesus, I love you, I love you, I love you because you care. And then you would go back to the chorus. Jesus, I love you. Okay? And you would repeat that to end it. Good. Okay, so we've got a little bump. This new rhythm pattern you can use on almost any slow song. It works on some fast songs, but it's got to be a little bit careful with it on the fast songs so it doesn't sound kind of jolty. But any of your slow songs, definitely you can add this in. And you don't have to do it every beat. Okay, so you could do it sometimes. Not because I've been so faithful, not because I've been, and then maybe you don't do it on the next one. You've all, right? So you can put it in and out if you want, but this is one of the patterns where if you do it every time, it doesn't get boring. So you could do it on every one if you wanted. Okay, let's jump into what is a diminished chord. Diminished chords are one of my favorite chords in gospel music. It makes it sound, it gives it that sound that makes it gospel-y. So instead of it just being like, not, I don't want to say dry and classical, but just very clean sounding, it gives it that crunchy sound that some of you might be like, where is that? Okay, so today we're going to show that to you because coming up in the next few lessons, I've got it mapped out where we're going to be learning some interesting left hand patterns and walk up, some of the things you guys have been requesting. We have enough skills now that we can jump into that. And a lot of the songs that have those really funky rhythms and really exciting things on the left hand, almost all of them have a diminished chord in it because that style just matches with that crunchy diminished sound. Okay, so diminished chords is a new, totally different type of chord. So we have major chords, minor chords, and diminished chords. So this isn't a type of major chord. This is a whole different kind of chord together. So it has its own rules. So if we wanted to make a C diminished chord, it's root 3-3. Okay, so major is root, count to 4, count to 3. So root 4-3. Minor is root 3-4. It's just backwards. And then diminished is root 3-3. Okay, so if we're on C and we count to 3, we end up on this, we call it E flat. And then we count 3 more, we end up on this black note, which we call G flat. So all by itself, it sounds gross. Not if it sounds gross, it means you're playing it right. Okay, so this is C diminished is the name of this chord. If we wanted to make one on G, we could do the same thing. Start on G, count to 3, count to 3, G diminished. Okay, also a way to remember is it kind of sounds like a train. Choo-choo, okay. And then let's start one that doesn't have all black notes. Let's try, I think this one. Here we go. And then we could start on D diminished. So we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? So we have D, F, and E flat. Now, diminished chords, a lot of times have an extra 4th note, okay? And we follow the same pattern. We just add another 3 at the end, okay? So if we wanted to make that same one we just made and add the extra note, it would look like this. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, okay? So that's a diminished. And we're not going to get into the theory of that tonight, but just know that for diminished chords, you have the option of doing 3, or you can add 4 to give it more texture. Okay, so let's look at that C diminished one again, and we'll add that 4th note and see what that looks like. So C, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that would be diminished like that. Okay, so that would be C diminished with the bonus note on top. Okay, so in your PDF you can see there it says optional 4th note, so you don't need to do it to make it diminished, but it does add some nice stuff. Okay, now on your notes here I said find the note that matches the name of your chord, C. From your first note, count up 3 half steps. Remember, half steps just mean walking up to the very next note. 1, 2, 3. Okay, from there, count up another 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. And then from there, you have an option to keep going. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just if you're following along with that at home, that's how that works. Okay, and then I want to show you guys this one here. Starting on F sharp, and there is a reason. I'm not just being unusually cruel. But we're going to start on this black note. We're going to do it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we end up with this thing. And the reason I'm showing you F sharp diminished, and I want to make sure it's really clear on the page for you, is we use this chord a lot in the key of C. And the reason is, it's the 4th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's sharp. Okay, we call it the sharp 4. And for the reasons of theory and patterns, doesn't matter what key you're in. If you find the 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th note of your scale, and you go up by 1 sharp, that chord is often diminished. Okay, and you'll see in our patterns this month, we've got F sharp diminished everywhere, and I'm going to show you that pattern of how that shows up in our songs. Okay, and I do have one for you tonight to give you a little taste of that. Now, we're not going to jump up to that. So if we're playing Diamond C, and I'm going to go up to F sharp, right? That's like, first of all, I'm jumping up the keyboard, and I have extra notes in there. So I'm going to show you guys some shortcuts to make it easy with our inversions, and also in the key of C. So F sharp is the most common diminished chord in beginner gospel music. It usually comes after an F chord, okay? And I'll show you that in our song. When moving to the F sharp diminished chord in the key of C, here's a very comfortable inversion. So if we go back up to here, our notes are F sharp, A, C, and D sharp, Okay, now what we're going to do is we want ourselves to be down by the C, and you can see here on my middle finger, I'm playing C. So I'm going to take this E flat, I'm going to take this C, and I'm going to move them down here. Okay, so the inversion looks like this: C, D sharp, F sharp, and A. Okay, and some of you who are paying close attention might realize that's a C diminished chord. You're right. Diminished chords, they have a lot of different names. Because of the pattern, they actually repeat themselves all over the place. So once you know 3 diminished chords, you actually know every single diminished chord on the whole piano. Okay, so I'm trying not to get too into the theory. I love theory, and I'm trying to hold myself back here. But comfortable inversion is this, okay? C, D sharp, F sharp, A. So if we're in C, and we're playing C, F sharp diminished, okay? It's more comfortable than jumping way up here, okay? Now I'm going to make it even easier. When you are in the key of C, you can play an F chord and just make it sharp. So F, you could go like this, F chord, make your F sharp. That's an F sharp diminished chord. That's the easiest way to remember it. Play an F chord, make the F sharp. Okay, so if you're inversion, if you're in F inversion, regular F, make it sharp. Just that note, everything else stays the same. F sharp, that's an F diminished chord. Okay, so apologies, let me know in the chat if that was confusing. I don't want it to be confusing. But I do want you guys to know that chord, and for those of you who are interested in the why it works and how it works, you can go back and look at all of those theory pages at the top there of how to make it, okay? But if you're just looking to play, you're not interested in theory, okay? We're in F, make it sharp, okay? F sharp diminished. Now, you're going to hear how beautiful this is, and like I said, we're going to have a lot of songs coming up with this chord, but for tonight I picked a short one that you guys can try out, and it's called Jesus Is Your Name. We're going to start it, I'm going to play it for you. I know it's not a super common one, so I'm going to play it so you can hear it with the F sharp diminished, and then we'll go through it step by step. Okay, so here we go. But I'll go down to the next part. Mighty warrior, great in battle, Jesus is your name. Okay, so that one going from F to F sharp diminished, G. Our brains love that. I'm sure you've heard that. It's everywhere, even in more contemporary gospel music, that F sharp diminished is everywhere. So get comfortable with it if you want that gospel sound. Okay, now let's go through. Of course, we have to practice our rhythm pattern too. So let's go through all those levels one by one with that. And before we do that, I did want to mention before I forget, for those of you looking for a little more help other than the live, we do have our music school here in Canada. It's online, so no matter where you're watching in the world, you can join us for online lessons with a teacher. We'll connect with you, find out what you're hoping to learn, if you want church music, a certain style, and we'll connect you with a teacher that can help you go through all the fundamentals and help you get a little more spice in your playing if you want to do that. We do have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, so anybody who joins, you can have your first lesson for free and get you registered. And then if you aren't completely satisfied or you don't think it's for you, we do have a 100% refund policy. So if after the first lesson you're like, I don't think so, you'll get all of your money back, guaranteed. Okay, so there's really no risk in trying it out to see if you like it. So if you did want to check it out or try some of our private lessons, we've got piano, guitar, voice, violin, and drums. And you can message us on YouTube or on the Facebook group, or you can send us an email at admin@canadamusiclessons.com. So we'll definitely give you guys a good deal if you let us know you're from YouTube, and we'll make sure we set you up there with some free registration and, of course, your first class for free. All right, so let's try this with just the left hand intro, C, bounce, C, bounce, C, bounce, F over G, bounce, Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. It repeats, Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. Chorus 2. Mighty warrior, great in battle. So right there, our left hand goes just to the black, F sharp, one note. So mighty warrior, great in battle, Jesus is your name. Mighty warrior, great in battle, Jesus is your name. And then it just repeats itself. So it's a really simple chorus. This one you'll notice is in groups of 2. It's still 4/4 time, but you're always switching your chords every 2 beats. So it'll give you a little extra challenge for the bounces as well. So let's try it with the long notes. Hi, Yr1 says, Jesus is your name. Yeah. Do you know this song? Let us know. I wanted to pick one that was really simple for that F sharp diminished, but we'll get into some funky stuff next week. Okay, so let's try it with the long notes. So again, both hands stay down except when we're bouncing. So let's try the intro. 1, 2, ready, go. Or sorry, I was gonna try that again. Ready, go. Chorus 1. Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. Chorus 2. Mighty warrior, great in battle, Jesus is your name. Mighty warrior, great in battle, Jesus is your name. Good. Okay, now I'm going to put it on the digital for you. And then we will try it with the lines, with the slashes as well. And I'm going to slow it down a little bit in case you guys are following along later, trying to find all the fingers. One thing I am doing naturally, and I just wanted to mention, is when we get to the G, and then we have G over B, you could stretch up to the B and stretch up to the C. That would sound nice because it is kind of like a walk up to the C. I'm going G, B, C, just because I have small hands. But I would definitely recommend, if you've got big enough hands, is just, we'll try it down here. So again, Jesus is your name. Like that. Okay, so I'll try that so you guys can see it. I'm just naturally doing the low one because that's how I would normally play it with my tiny hands. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go, together. Chorus 1. Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. Repeat. Jesus is your name. Jesus is your name. Chorus 2. Very good. So, I know there was a lot packed in, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of rhythm, and I wanted to give you a little bit of chords. It looks like we do have a little bit of time left over. If anybody does have any questions, I'll take a few minutes and answer some questions. And if not, we'll end it for tonight. But yeah, let's just, I'm just waiting for the questions to come through. I know there's a little bit of a delay. Let's just go over a couple of more diminished chords, just so you guys can practice the counting. And you know what? I'm going to show you guys something. We'll make one of every chord. So let me see. I'll show you what I mean by that, so you guys can see the pattern. So if we have a C major chord, we would start with our C. We would count to 4. We would count to 3. Okay, we've got like that. C, E, G. If we wanted to make C minor chord, we would start with our C. We would do 3 and then 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's slightly more squished down. Okay, that's C minor. If we want to make C diminished, it's almost the same. We start with our root. We go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there you can see it a little more clearly all in a row. Okay, let's try F. And again, if you guys have any questions, send them in just while we're doing this. So we've got F major would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. F major. Okay. F minor. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. F minor. And diminished would be 3 and 3. F. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. F diminished. Okay, so you can see that. And then, of course, our left hand would always match whatever chord we're in there. Okay. Connie says, a little confusing. I'm lost. Okay, which part? The rhythm or the diminished? And I'll keep doing these diminished while I'm waiting for you guys. Okay. And then, of course, let's do our... let's do G. Okay, so G major. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. G major. If we want to make it minor. 1, 2, 3. Or sorry. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if we want to make it diminished. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's just some fun theory stuff. But if we're going, I'm going to go back into our Jesus is your name part and just show you guys a little clearer with that diminished part in case that's where you guys are getting stuck. So chorus 2, mighty warrior great, that's your F. To do the F sharp diminished, don't change anything except this one right here. Just go up to the F sharp. Okay, and that's what we're going to be doing for all our songs. We're not going to have any other crazy diminished chords, okay? Just F sharp diminished. So, mighty warrior, great, F sharp in battle. Okay, and then with the left hand, it would look like this. Mighty warrior, great, F sharp for both of them in battle. Okay. Tom says, thank you very much. I got my work cut out for me this weekend. I feel the training wheels slowly coming off. Yes, and I apologize. I think I may have put a little bit too much in this lesson as I was going through. But like I said, the next few weeks, we're going to be working on that diminished. Okay, so if that's the part that you guys are getting stuck on, don't worry. I've got like literally weeks and weeks of F sharp diminished coming because we're going to be doing some of the... all those ones that you want, and that's the F sharp diminished right there. So, what's a good song? F sharp diminished. I can only think of this one now, but there's all kinds of them. And we're gonna learn some of those things on the left hand. So I want to make sure you're comfortable with going from F to F sharp diminished. Okay, and then for the bouncing part, if that's the part that you guys were a little confused about, just remember you're going to be switching right before each chord. So let's even take a look at this one before we go. So if we're doing Jesus, bounce, right there. Just right before it switches, even if you're not counting it. If the counting is overwhelming, like if that's not your learning style, don't count. Just feel the bounce. okay? And then here is your bounce. Just make sure you add the bounce before the F. And yours might sound a little bit different, but you'll find your style, okay? So I gave you the counting because I know there are some students that need the counting. They need to see it and count it out loud. But if the counting, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, is overwhelming, don't count. You don't have to. So if we wanted to do this one without counting, we could go, Jesus is your name. And it might not be exactly right at first, but like I said, as you play it, you're going to feel it. Because if you're not a counter, then you're a feeler. So G, bounce, is your bounce name. I'm going to move, bounce, move, bounce, move, bounce, move, bounce, move. Okay? So I wanted to give you guys something to chew on a little bit. And like I said, you don't have to do it every time. For this one, for example, what if we just did it after this? Sorry, I wish I could highlight spaces. Right here, what if we do one there and then do one at the end of the F? Okay, it would look like this. Jesus is your name. Bounce. Okay? And then don't do it on this one. Jesus is your name. Maybe bounce here, where you're feeling comfortable. Another you can also add them in where there's space, right? So if you feel like, like for example, this F is a perfect example. There's more space, and you might be like, I feel like I need something there. Just add it there, right? You can use it as a tool. You don't have to do it how I did it every single chord. I'm showing you guys that as an option, but you could go, Jesus is your name, 2, 3, 4, G, right? Just at that part where it's so long and there's nothing happening, Jesus is your name, and then you're content because this one moves a lot. Maybe you don't want to put the bounce in everywhere. Okay, so I hope that helps. If you have any specific questions, make sure to let us know in the chat, or you can email us or text us, Facebook chat us, all the different ways you can chat us. Please let me know, because I feel like since the holiday, it's kind of all these different things you guys are wanting to learn, and I want to make sure we're going at a good pace, okay? So let me know how it's going. Of course, if you guys want to try some private lessons, our email is admin@canadamusiclessons.com. You can also check out our website, canadamusiclessons.com, or you can send me a message on a Facebook group, and we'll get you guys set up with a free lesson. All right, well, it was awesome. I hope that wasn't too much homework. We'll slow down a little bit next week to give you guys a chance to chew on that, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you guys next week. Bye!